Hey there. So let's never lose sight of why Mobility Monday is important. And let's not lose sight why we need to take care of this, right? So there are tons of different ways to move your body. Some will work for some and some will work for others. But the most important thing is that if you have found yourself standing taller because you've been doing mobility and taking care of yourself starting every single Monday, then let's keep it going, right? So today I want to do a relatively simple session. We're going to start with some movement, then we're going to do some foam rolling, and then we're going to finish with some more directed movement as well as some activation. Okay, so let's just go down into that 90-90 split. We've got the right knee down and the right arm up. We want to find height and length through this side. So we're not going knee over toe. We're just going to reach. Pull your chin back into your throat so that your ear is directly over your shoulder. And from right there, we're not side bending. We're just getting tall and adding height. My sister-in-law just got told that she was 5'1" the other day by her doctor. And she's like, I'm not 5'1", I'm 5'3". And he goes, no, you're 5'1". You guys, I'm here to tell you, gravity is real. And gravity and ground are having an effect on our bodies every single day. So this kind of mobility, attention to decompression and length and height is really important. So even just adding tension, you see my fingertips, adding tension into the body, keeping the alignment of the spine long and strong is super important. Okay, so all we were doing there is reaching straight up and just getting length and height through the rib cage. Okay, let's go same thing again. We start at the beginning and we progress through it. No matter how many times we do this, guys, as long as there's gravity, as long as there's ground, as long as we're active, this is going to be the conversation we're going to continue to have. Okay, fingertips are strong, elbow is straight, tension in the lat, and we're just pushing into that. Keep the head in a really strong position, and we're going left knee over toe, and in response to that, we're getting a little bit of a hip opener on the right side. Just nice and easy. Good. We're going for 10 reps. If I'm a little off, just see if you can count for yourself, okay? Because sometimes when I'm thinking and I'm chatting, I'll be 1 or 2 reps off. Okay, first thing is we're going to set that height, set that head position, and then we're just going to drive the knee. And as we drive the knee, we're continuing to have tension through that left side. We're not going across the midline. We're just staying tall. Good. Again, going for 10 reps, keep reaching higher and higher. If you can release even more, do it. And good. All right, from right there, let's stay in the half kneeling position. And we're going out to 45 degrees. So the foot is at 45 degrees from the midline. And the knee is as well. We're going to take the hands at chest height. We're rotating away, and as soon as I start to move my rib cage, I can immediately feel a little bit of a tugging, a gentle tension in that adductor, that inner thigh. So as we start to sink into it and rotate, we're getting a little bit more. 2, we're not trying to go to end range, we're just trying to get that movement. So get that chest moving, little bit of weight with the weight of the arms. 5, 6, 7, 8, gentle turn through that thoracic spine, and 10. Good. Same thing other side. Here's the midline of the body, right through that pubic symphysis, right through your sternum. The knee and the foot are at 45 degrees away, hands at chest height, ears in line with the shoulders, and we just be gentle as we turn away from that inner thigh, away from the adductor. 5, 6, 7, 8. Just gentle movement, not end range. And 10. Okay, good. So the anchor of mobility for me and activation and function through the spine and through the pelvis, probably going to anchor with Dr. Eric Goodman and foundation training. It really is, it's not about releasing all the tension all the time. You need to know what tension feels like for a high performance human, and you need to know what relaxation feels like so that you can get into that flow state when you're playing. You don't always need to be tense when you're playing or when you're running. You want to be relaxed in the movement. But in order to get the movement and get the alignment and get the decompression, a little bit of tension or controlling our tension and attention is super important. Okay, so let's go into that split stance. Check out that back foot. When my hip is in extension, I want my leg is in extension. I want my hip into internal rotation, and that's going to be that hip, that heel outside of the toe. So from right here, let's just take a little peek over the cliff. Hands on hips, chest is tall, push the hip back, and just that little peek over the cliff, and then come right back. So we're pushing the hips back, and in response, we get that little bit of forward fold in response to the hip hinge, okay? The hinge is the most important part in lifting. When we get under load, you need to have a good hinge because it allows you to have a stacked spine. Good. Chest up. Push the hip back. Keep that back hip in internal rotation. And that's where we know we're there if the heel is outside of the toes of the back leg. Good. One more. And good. Nice. Same thing other side. So we set the stack, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankle. But make sure the back leg that is in extension, we can tell it's in extension because it's open here on this side of the hip. And we make sure that the heel on the back front, that back foot is outside of the toes. Take a nice big breath, pull the ribs and hips, pull the ribs off the hips. And then all we're doing is that gentle hinge. 1, looking over the cliff. 2, push the hips back. 3, you've got weight in the ball joint of the big toe, of the lead leg. That lead leg should not be locked out, but you're going to just have a nice soft knee that allows that hip to go into flexion. There's our hinge. Come right back out of it. Let's go again. Come right back out of it. And good. All right. Now, this position, we got right leg back. Heel is outside of toes. Float the hands to the height of the heart. From right there, we're going to take the hands right up, and then we're going to hinge back. So see how my fingertips and my heel are on the same line. Little bit of forward flexion, little bit of hip hinge, and then come right back out of it. All right? So we don't want to be in extension. We're going to raise the arms up, little bit of a peek over the cliff. We've got 70% of the weight on the lead leg, and we're going to take a big breath and follow the fingertips to the top. And good. For me, that lights up the lead leg in a really organized, stable, strong way. So there's no relaxing about that. There is strength in that lead leg. And as I go into that decompression position, right here, that little bit of forward shift, load the lead leg to 70%, pull the fingertips away from the pubic symphysis and away from the low back, but don't be in extension, right? So we're pulling forward and up. And then we're going to breathe. And good. Woodpecker decompression. And then we add the breathing, woodpecker decompression breathing. All right, let's get the foam roller. And we're gonna start down at the bottom of the body, just do a little scan with the foam roller. And again, those of you that hang out with me on Mondays, you know you're not gonna spend longer than 10 minutes a day on the foam roller, but let's make really good use of that time. So windshield wiper right at the bottom of the calf muscle, nice and easy. Definitely feeling a little bit of calves, and that's a good sign for me. That means I'm working. That means the muscles are working. If you don't feel anything, a lot of times that means, you know, you're just maybe in your easy phase where you're doing a lot of zone 1 work, maybe creeping into zone 2. Maybe you're not running much, you're riding your bike, so your calves feel a little bit different. Mine definitely start lighting up when I start running. So it's something I really want to stay on top of and take care of. So I'll use my gua sha tool, which I'll go into later, probably next week. I'll spend a little more time on gua sha. But today we're using foam roller as the tool, the mobility tool. Okay, good. So the calves are definitely a little bit dull, achy. There's nothing too pinny about it, and so I'm not too worried. Same thing, going up to the hips, gonna scan the hips, two knees, 2 feet on the ground. And we're just gonna foam roll the lateral part of the hip and get down into that ischial tuberosity, that sits bones. If you do some yoga, they call it sits bones, but it's where all the hamstrings attach. So don't be afraid to get a little bit of time there. And we're just gonna work through the glute. And again, my glutes are working a little bit more these days because I'm running, not just cycling. So I can feel that, but it's dull, achy, and I like it. So that's good. That means they're working, means they're gonna recover, get stronger, and hopefully I'll get faster. Good. The goal for me, fast 5K before Christmas. So I'm hoping on Tuesday, we got through some snow here in Colorado. Hopefully Tuesday I can lay down at least a preliminary 5K, and I'll probably do that. My race pace heart rate is about 150 to 155, and I'll run that 5K in that range. And that's a range that should be very challenging for me, but doable. So if you follow me on Strava, you'll probably see my 5K time trial. Maybe have a little chuckle. But I promise you it will be better in the 5 weeks that I have to train going into my 5K that I'll do before Christmas. Okay, hands behind the head, working through that thoracic spine. Protect the neck, protect the position of the cervical spine, and just really working through that T-spine so you get that nice motion. Good, good. And then let's take a little bit of moment here to foam roll through the lat. And I like to cross fiber that. So we're on the rib cage and we're just working through the rib cage, just dragging the skin and making sure that the skin is gliding and the rib cage has freedom. We want the rib cage to have freedom, and we want the thoracic spine to be able to be free so that the rib cage can expand, the lungs can expand, and then we get more oxygen to the working muscles. All right, so right there, let's go other side. That should feel just kind of gooey. It should just feel like it's glidey, glidey, glidey. It should not feel sticky. And good, thumb up here, make sure the arm's in a nice position. And I like that. Okay, good. A little bit of foam rolling. That makes me feel good about where the body's at. Let's go into a wide stance. From the wide stance, we're gonna just do some standing archers. We'll move through the hips first. So we've got the feet in the anchored position. That means the heels are outside of the toes, which means the hips are in a little bit of internal rotation. And all we're doing is just a gentle hip to the midline, hip to the midline. Nothing forced, just nice and easy. Hip to the midline. Good, good. And every time I go into internal rotation with my left, I can feel my right adductor working, right? Because it's decelerating that hip to the midline. Good. Same thing other side. My adductors are definitely different. So I can move this way way easier than I can move this way. I don't think I have an injury. I don't think I'm injury prone actually, other than breaking ankles and holes and whatnot in trail running. But I've got a pretty good pelvis and pelvic movement because I demonstrate this all day long with clients and athletes. So when I'm in the split stance position, you take a big breath, pull the ribs off the hips. You might take that into the woodpecker position, but either way, you want to be able to stand here nice and tall, take a peek over the cliff. Okay, so get into this position with me. Make sure your back heel is outside of the toes. We've already been here once. We did it with woodpecker decompression. Hands on hips. We're just going to drop into the midline. 3, 4, 5. This leg should be strong and stable. 8, 9, 10. Hip mobility. Good. Take that nice big breath. This lifting is called tensegrity. Tensegrity is the essence of core strength. Can you hold yourself up against gravity, right? So pull that up nice and high. Take that little peek over the cliff. This knee is soft. Right knee, or right hip now, into the midline. 2, 3, 4. We just want nice and smooth. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Back into the wide stance, pushing the hips back. The hips way behind the heels. So we're hip hinging. Keep the chest up. Keep those hands at me. Okay? 2, keep the elbows facing to the ground. 3, 4, toes on the ground. 5, 6, we got 4 more. 7, weight on the heels right here. Not on the heels so much right here. You can have that on the full foot. 9, 1 more. And 10, and good. Okay, walk those feet in just a little bit. Now let the toes flare out a little bit, okay? So this is our anchored position, performance position. This is a little bit of external rotation, opens up the hips, and we're working into a squat. Let's go 10 squats. Let the knees go out just a little bit. We did work that in that half kneeling position. So right here, it's like a frog. 3, 4, 5. We got 10 of these. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Now get back down here. On your 10th one, you should be able to see me. Eyes up. And we're just going to weight shift left and right. Stay low, fingertips on the ground if you can get there. And 10, and good. All right, get yourself a little balance point. I'll use the wall. We're just gonna do foot grabs. So a nice easy foot grab and come back. That wasn't that easy for me. Honest answer. Okay, right hand here. That was a little better. I think I need to grab my foot a little more often. If you haven't grabbed your foot lately, not a bad plan. All right, just opens up the belly. And your body is a big measuring stick, right? So you can really start to assess, how am I doing? So left arm on the wall here. That feels way better than it used to. Good. Just holding that stretch. A little bit of a static stretch. It's not a little bit, it actually is. Okay, good. We'll go 1 more foot grab each side. Balance yourself. Hold. And you want this knee, if you're grabbing the left foot, you want your left knee behind the other one. Okay, good. 1 more time, other side. When you hold a stretch, we call it a static stretch. Mobility originally could have been called dynamic flexibility, right? There's tons of different nomenclatures for how to speak movement. But static stretching, when held for 20 to 30 to 60 or 2 minutes, will down-regulate the nervous system, down-regulates the signaling into that muscle to shorten and work. It's funny because when I was playing basketball at CU, we would do static stretching before we would do practice, which made me very tired all the time. Can't speak for everybody else, but once we started playing 3-on-2, 2-on-1, I started getting back into it. My brain started waking up and I could go into practice. But we were actually doing a disservice to a lot of the athletes, me included, by turning us low when what we wanted was high. So static stretching at the end of the day as you go into your sleep protocol, great idea. Static stretching, just to relax and hopefully down-regulate a fight or flight kind of system, also a very good idea. So there's a time and a place for dynamic flexibility, which is mobility, or there's a time and a place for static stretching. I hope you enjoyed Monday Morning Mobility. I will see you next week. We're getting into the holiday season. If you want to join me in the training and throw down and have a little community fun with a fast 5K, let me know in the comments. That could be super fun. See you guys.